Hi, I'm Mathew Lonsdale, and I've had Crohn's disease for 30 years. Um, I don't suffer from it any longer. It's been 3.5 years, and I'm going to, get back to that in a moment. But originally, I was 15 years old, and prior to that, I had stomach cramps and regular cannabis user. At the time, we called it pot. This is a Nancy Reagan generation. And because of smoking pot, they decided to send me to drug rehab. Well, while there, I started breaking into sweats at night, and that were crazy, drenching and soaking the bed with insane stomach pain. And I went to the bathroom one night and literally exploded the toilet with blood, screaming into a towel, and not knowing what was going on. And you have to bear with me because it's like backtracking time a bit. And for that, that whole time there, and I'm just putting this together, that's when cannabis was taken away from me. Crohn's really kicked in. I had 104 fevers at night in this place, drenched the bed, soaked through sweatpants, ripped the bedding off, and just in the can. I get home, and at that time I was 150 pounds. Within probably 2.5, 3 weeks, I was weighing like 110. Now at this point, I'm back home, and again, just in pain. If you could imagine sitting on a toilet with a towel over your face, screaming, and literally having to spend another 15 minutes to clean up the whole outside of the bowl. I'm really trying to paint a picture that none of this was fun. So okay, go to the doctor and find out I have Crohn's. And they put me on prednisone and zolpidem, and these drugs didn't work. I just kind of had to start learning to live with pain in life that was excruciating. Daily school was absurd because you're in the can, let alone being able to go out and hang out with my teenage friends. It's pretty bad. Like there's comes times like I'm literally wanting to take a knife and cut out my insides. And so to paint a picture of what I lived with, none of it was pleasant. By the time I was 17, I decided that their poison meds and the side effects that were going along with it weren't working any longer, and I was like, I'd rather live with the Crohn's and die because I can't do it. So at this point in life, the pain is so bad, I'm like now on a regular basis with alcohol, and people say, oh, you're just an alcoholic, and I'm telling you, you got to do something for this pain that nobody understood. At that point, with other things in my life, I ended up living with Crohn's disease on the road, which, believe it or not, just hitchhiking around the country for 10 years. And to stay in my own spot, I was actually unemployable anyway, because literally I had to map out places I'd have to stop to get to work. Each gas station had to stop and use their bathroom. We're talking like within every 10 or 15 minutes. Get to work, and at the time I was, carpenter, and I had many employers say to me, we're putting on roof trusses, and you do incredible work, but we can't have a guy jumping off the roof every 15 minutes. So, now the physical part becomes an employment part, which now becomes more of a mental part. You talk about a self-esteem, you're like, is this ever going to end? There's no life. You can't, even going out when everybody wants to go out to eat, you're not having a good time. Chinese food's definitely miserable. To get on to the other part of the story, it's all about a hippie in the end, I seem to find out. And, that's true. And the hippies were right. Friend come down and drops us off half a pig and 2 hash brownies. But to my friend, and I says, hey, let's split one of these brownies. She's like, yeah, okay. And this is totally just to get high, try something different, gift from a friend. I got up the next morning and experienced something in the bathroom that I've never experienced before. What it was like before Crohn's. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to backtrack. What did I eat? So for the next couple days, I ate the rest of this pork roast that we made and picked off this little piece of a brownie. So then I'm like, something's got to be up with this. And I noticed once Crohn started kicking in a little bit, and it was like 2 or 3 days, I'd go pick off at this other brownie, which I'm starting to run out of at this point. So about a week into it, I'm going, something's up with this brownie. So I call up my doctor, figuring they'd get me in right away. We got to use, I got this great thing going on with Crohn's. I don't know why. I need answers, thinking they should be sending me to the Cleveland Clinic for research or something, because really I have no clue what's going on with my body. So at this point, I start logging the stuff. I'm writing it all down just because I'm overwhelmed. The household's overwhelmed. This is like almost too good to be true, thinking that what's up with this? It's like this magical little brownie. So I'm calling my friend. I says, I didn't get to that point of calling him yet, because now I'm like, okay, I'm going to deal with eating this little brownie. I get to the doctor, figuring that, yeah, they'd be like all ecstatic and everything, and they like basically told me, shut up and go away. Fortunately, the physician there was also an intern, said it in a really decent way, and he's like, look, Matt, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to tell you not to continue doing what I prescribe to you, but I'm also not going to tell you if something else works, don't just stop doing it, okay? And I said, look, Crohn's disease is on the medical marijuana list in the state of Maine. I want certified yesterday because I'm now linking this to the brownie, and I got to do something. He says, no, can't do it. Well, at least he wrote down a name, and he says, this is a colleague that I was in medical school with named Dustin Sulak, who is the medicine man of our community here of the state of Maine. Way to go. Thank you, Dustin Sulak. Research. There's some names I'm going to drop on this video that please do some research on these people. It's incredible. So I went, well, all right. So I called up and, had to come up with money to get them, which is a poor hippie in the woods is hard to do. So I'm waiting for my appointment. I call my friend that gave me this brownie. I said, what do I do? What do I do? So he mails me out. So, I said, what did you do different? He says, I accidentally dropped the hash into some hot oil. He says, that might be it. So I'm like, well, so what do you think? I says, because I don't have much of this brownie left. He says, well, Matt, why don't you take and try heating up a little hash in a tablespoon of olive oil. Try it out. Let's go from there. So I did, and I put in a tablespoon of olive oil into a little teeny saucepan. And I learned, I kind of learned this. There's a lot of learning that took place with this, and I'd wipe it out with a piece of bread. And it was working, and it was crazy. I was like, wow, all right, I'm on to something here. What do I do next? So, I had multiple things of Google search for Crohn's disease throughout the years. I gave up on it. So I'm going to take a shot. I typed in Crohn's and hash, and my life hasn't been the same since, because up popped a video by Shauna Banda, another one, really, I'll get more into that even on another video. And she answered everything that the doctors couldn't for me. It's really a big part of my life now, 3.5 years later, of not dealing with this. And she's, she said she watched this movie from Rick Simpson called Run from the Cure, and it taught her about cannabis oil. And you just have to check out her, Live Free or Die, Shauna Banda, and then Rick Simpson's Run from the Cure, which those were the starts to where I needed to go with it. And then listening to, say, Dr. Bob Melamede, I started researching who he was, because I needed answers. I was like, I didn't know what was going on. So now I run out of hash, and I'm learning what's going on with my body. I'm like, oh, gee, what are we going to do? In the meantime, I had to go for a colonoscopy, where I'm saying, no, something's going on with my body. I'm not going to let them flush out my system, because I don't want to, take away anything what's going on with it. So I put that off. In 2020, I probably should have done it, so I had a then and now. But I also had a hernia fixed on the other side. And while I was laying there in the hospital, and the staff's coming in, and I'm ecstatic, because nobody's telling me about this, listening about this brownie situation. And one of them looks at me and he says, man, he says, I'm not going to say I'm against the government, or I'm not going to say no government. He's going to say, but I really think it sucks in my profession that I'm literally forbidden to share with my patients my knowledge. That really helped bring it to another track. Like they knew, they told me, some of them were really listening, that they knew, so now I'm like, wow, okay. To get more into it, now I'm not using any of their pharmaceuticals. I'm now not dealing with any of their little blue pills. That my body is just off the chart. You really, again, you know, in a physical aspect, yeah, they're telling me, oh, it's just a little early. I'm going, nah, I feel like I'm 24 again, buddy. So, yeah, I've lost faith in the pharma doctors a long time ago. I want this word out. And I knew right away, jumping up and down, there was no holding back. I've been to the State House in Maine nonstop since. Told them point blank, I'm done. I went to your doctors. I'm your proof. Do research on me. And yeah, no, here you go. This is it. To say that I'm passionate about what worked for me is an understatement. I want every single Crohn's patient out there immediately to know this works. I'm a normal person now.